And welcome to Front Row the Podcast. We're very excited to have you here. But before we get going, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review if you got value from this week's episode. We can't wait to share with you all the industry peers, all the industry experts, all around professional speaking. And we are super excited to welcome you to this week's episodes. Get your notepad ready, get your action steps lined up, and let's tune in to this week's episode. Welcome back to the Winner Series. My name is Elliot Kay, the CEO of the Speaker Awards and the Speaker Summit, and we are interviewing past winners of the Speaker Awards, and I'm very excited to interview Andrea because he's got a very unique approach and a very unique journey to winning an award, and why he chose to enter the awards I can't wait to hear. As you know, we are gearing up to the Speaker Awards 2026, and as a result of this, we're doing the Winner Series where I get to interview all these incredible human beings. And we are gearing up towards opening the Speaker Awards 2026. So make sure that you get on the list so you're notified first when we open. Of course, there'll be an opening webinar and everything like that. But in the meantime, get on the list, join us. If you're watching this or we're already open, get applying because you're about to hear from a variety of people, a variety of winners, why they entered, why they went for the awards, and of course, what it means to win. And today I'm joined with Andrea, who lives in London, but as you will pick up, isn't originally from London. But today's about his journey to the Speaker Awards. Now, Andrea's an undefeated champion. You don't know this because he won Best Virtual Speaker, and that's an award we don't do anymore. So he has retired undefeated. Welcome to Front Row Podcast, Andrea, the undefeated champion of the Virtual Speaker Awards. How is it going for you? How are you doing? You okay?
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very good. Thank you very much. Undefeated. Why? Out of curiosity, Elliot, why have you decided to retire that particular category?
Well, because you were just so good, we know no one could top it, you see. So we were like, you know what, let's just retire this. He's never going to be, he's like Usain Bolt of the speaking world, of the virtual speaking world. No, the reason we retired it is because, you know, every year we evaluate how many nominations, to also look at the market needs and demands, right? And so when we did we also spoke to bureaus, so we did some research as well, and we're noticing the virtual is dipping, right? It's going downwards. And if it's on a decline, then people aren't going to have footage, they're not going to have the right staff, and we just thought there's better awards we could replace it with, and so that's why we decided to retire it. And you being the winner. So there we go. You are the undefeated champion. So tell us about your journey to the Speaker Awards. How did you hear about it, first of all?
I heard about it most likely from one of your LinkedIn posts.
Oh,
because
okay.
We are connected on LinkedIn. I follow your work. I respect your work.
Oh, thank you.
And so it's you and your team as well. And also, I had that plan, particularly for 2024, to enter a few awards, not only in the speaking space, but also for the business, for our business. And the objective was for us to do something from an awards perspective. And in 2024, it was a successful year for us, like personally for me, but also for the business, because in addition to winning Best Virtual Speaker at your awards, in that year we won Best Presentation Skills Training Specialist in the UK. Thank you, Elliot. In 2023, I had published my first book, and that was highly commended at the Business Book Awards in the same year. So it was part of if you want, of a personal brand and also business strategy to raise my profile, the profile of the business. And ultimately, the main thing is to build trust with your audience, with the audience who might also be sometimes potential clients.
Brilliant. I think we were at the same, because I was a judge for the Business Book Awards up until last year, and I would have been there, and I gave an award out that year. But I did the Short Business Book Award versus, I think yours is probably not a short one. So yeah, interesting how our worlds intertwined, and at least I know one person is following my work. That's good to know. Thank you for that reassurance. So because your work is, you do presentation trainings and speaker trainings, right? So You're not per se a speaker, right? But you speak. But you speak to promote. Am I right by that?
Yeah, so two things. It is true that speaking is not the core part of what I do. The core part is working behind the scenes, helping other speakers become the best speakers, the best presenters they can be. Now, as part of that, I am, even if we don't, and I don't promote actively, but yes, sometimes I am asked to give a talk here and there, to speak in public. So that happens as well. It is part of my or our services, but it's not the core of our business.
So it's quite interesting then. So it's almost like I pit myself. I go on the track, as we use Usain Bolt, and go, well, I'm not really a runner, but I'm going to go and compete against, Usain Bolts of the world. So it's quite an interesting approach to take, because you get the value of awards, you get how they raise your visibility, raise your credibility. But, going into the Speaker Awards, the more I've done these interviews, and the more I understand just how, I understand anyway from running them, what high caliber we attract, and we're very blessed. Did that play on your mind at all? Or you were just like, no, I'm just going to enter, what will be, will be. Did any of that come into your kind of like, well, I'm going up against professional speakers? Did that come into play?
Yes, it did. And thinking about it, when I entered, I didn't, precisely because of that, I didn't think that I had a chance.
Okay, interesting.
That was that was the mindset I had when I approached the application process. But that was fine. In the end, it was just, everything is a test, you give it a try. It was also, I don't know, 2024, was it the first time, Elliot, that you did the awards, or was it...
No, we're coming into year 5 this year.
Okay.
So 2022 was the first year, November 22, on my daughter's birthday, which she's never forgiven me for. It's just one of those rare moments where they were like, we can give you a venue at this date, and you go, okay, and then afterwards, like, it's your daughter's birthday. So I had to rush back that morning. But yeah, no, since then, it's year 5 now.
Okay. So you see, LinkedIn is working, but for me, it started working in 2024. I wasn't aware of the 2023, the 2022 editions.
Right.
And so I said, okay, it seems to be very interesting. It seems to be a professional event. On the one hand, I had that thing, okay, I'm not going to win anyway, but I'll give it a try. On the other, the idea to not necessarily compete, I don't see it as a competition, but to also compare yourself and your skills, because you've got professional judges with professional speakers, that was a motivation as well. So it was both, I approached it from both angles.
It's quite interesting because all the winners so far that I've interviewed, none of them entered thinking they could win. Now, whether they're, I'm not saying this is your case, whether they're just saying that or they mean, I genuinely believe them, because as we release these episodes, you'll see for yourself. No one seems to have entered with like, I'm going to win this, which is quite an interesting bit, because, speakers are quite headstrong, they're quite driven, and it's quite interesting to unpack that and hear that most people, including yourself, are like, well, I'm just going to see where I go with this. And I think it's a very healthy attitude for anyone listening as well. Just see how far you get. And I think that's really good, because I know, and I think you probably know this, for when I entered the Business Book Awards, and I talk about this because it's a great example. First time I entered, I got nothing, zilch, and I was angry, annoyed, pissed off, you name it. And I was like, oh, it's clicky, it's who they know, I'm not in with the right people, it's because of this, it's because of that, right? But then the following year, I just came back and wrote a better book, and then that got shortlisted. I still didn't win, right? But I was very happy to have made it onto the podium, so to speak, to be shortlisted. And maybe I should make more of that in my own marketing. But
even for me, Elliot, so I won in 2024, but then I tried again last year.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't even nominated. I try, which is totally fine. Again, it's part of the process. Because I had won Best Virtual Speaker, then of course, I don't know, maybe it's not even possible to do it, but then I wasn't even interested in going for that category again. I tried a different category, because none of the other categories, for none of the others, I felt I I could compete. And the only one where I thought, okay, I could give it a try was the storyteller, best storyteller category. I gave it a try, and I wasn't even nominated, and that's okay. We'll see. I'm looking forward to looking at this year's categories to see. I don't know if there is something new, and
there will be. I mean, we introduced best thought leadership and best AI, and I can't remember the exact term right now. So that one of them replaced virtual, and one of them replaced another one, which I can't remember. There will be 2 new ones, I believe. Don't ask me what they are, but it'll be along the lines of most inspirational speaker, something like that. We're kind of
Going back to what you mentioned, for me, the main reason why I didn't say, I didn't think I could win just because I have to say this. No, the main reason was because I don't see myself as a professional speaker. Yes, sometimes I get paid to speak in public, but my main work is working behind the scenes to help others do that. So that's why.
Okay, really, really, and it's quite interesting. So you enter, you go through the process, which a lot of people are saying is really good because it gets you really focused in, it gets you to really think about who you are as a speaker, and then you show up to the call. Were you present, or did you just watch the replay when we did
I watched the announcement.
And how did, so you're sitting there, you tell us about that kind of the call and what goes on.
And before I do that, let me also say something nice about the process, because the application process. I've done a few other applications for awards, and yours is very focused in that you don't have to answer 1,000 questions. Sometimes, if we really think about it, useless questions or not so important. I think, if I remember well, you have to answer. It could be, apart from, of course, name and LinkedIn profile, but the actual questions, it could be 5 questions or something, the meaningful ones, and that's good for someone who's doing applications for these kind of things. And then when you see that you get nominated, of course, it's an amazing feeling. Whether it's ego boosting or other things, but it's an incredible feeling, because then you see that it's you. Again, I don't like that, but against maybe 5 or 6 other. In my case, it was 5 or 6 other speakers, and you start to think, okay, maybe it's possible. Let's see what happens. And then the feeling is even, of course, even stronger, much better when you actually win, when you're there, the conference, the awards, the ceremony. By the way, everything is done so professionally from any perspective. So it's fantastic.
Cool. And so, yes, let's talk about that moment. So, you show up. Again, like most people I've interviewed so far, no one knew anybody. Was that the case for you? Or did you know some
I knew a few people, because I had a couple of clients, by the way, who attended. Also, I knew Lucy McCarraher and Joe Gregory because Rethink Press is the publisher of my first book. Yeah. I know Maria Franzoni, who's part of the event. I had a chat with them before the event. So from that perspective, it was also nice for me, having both familiar faces and new faces as well. And then, go ahead.
No, go on. I'm listening to you.
And then I liked it because, if I remember well, the virtual speaker category was the very first to be announced.
To be one
either
of the
first
or
the second.
With newcomer.
Yeah, newcomer, and then the second.
Yeah.
And then I was there. I was sitting next to Mark. I also had him on the Ideas on Stage podcast, because he then won in that year. He won Booker's Choice.
Oh yes.
So we were sitting.
Yes.
Mark
Denton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we were sitting next to each other, and the announcer. So it was me, and then all the others had, say, typical English names. Yeah. So the announcer Said, okay, and the winner is, and then he looked at the card, and he said, he made a comment that made people understand that it wasn't so easy he wasn't so sure how to pronounce that name. And so Mark looked at me saying, okay, maybe it's you. And he was right, because okay, Andrea Pacini. And it's fantastic, because also, again, the way you do it, it's a super professional awards ceremony with music and the host and everything is done to make you feel good.
Brilliant. It's quite interesting how we read signals, and in his case it was correct, but also your year Bonita one, do you remember Bonita? She won Best Storyteller, right? And it's quite funny because when they came in, I was like, hi Bonita, I'm Elliot, and her husband went, you've won, because he wouldn't know your name, right, if you hadn't. But the reason I knew her name is because she'd emailed to change her image that we were using. So that's the only reason I knew her name. Because actually I stay really out of the whole process. I don't really look at anything till they've won, till it's done. So I'm completely impartial. But it's interesting that moment Mark turned to you and it's you. And it turned out to be you. So tell us the moment your name comes up, you win that walk, the famous walk everyone talks about. And it's quite interesting because most people just look shocked. Tell us about that moment for you.
For me, I was before the ceremony. I was thinking, because of course you think about it. What if I win? What do you do? Me as an Italian, if we think about our words, we have, for us Italians at least, we have a famous moment where, I don't know if you know the actor Roberto Benigni, when
maybe
he directed and acted on Life is Beautiful, a movie about the Holocaust, like a deep movie, and he won the Oscars. And when he did, if you go on YouTube, you'll find it. The way he celebrated when he understood that he won, he celebrated in a crazy way, jumping on people's heads. And I was thinking, maybe I could do something like that. But then actually, when you hear your name, at least with my character, I tend to be also shy in those situations. So exactly what you said. I didn't know what to say. You don't know what do you need to go, and you just follow the process, and with nothing else.
Okay, great. So you won, and so tell us since winning what that's kind of done for you, for your business, for your brand. Because again, what's been really interesting for me doing these is learning the impact of the awards from other speakers. So I'm really interested to hear what the impact was on you and your business, etc.
For me and for us, for the business, great impact. Also linking it back to what I said, that in that year, of course, that was the most important, the award I cared more about, because of course it's very much connected to what I do. So for example, if someone is looking to upskill their team for them to be able to present more effectively, I focus on business presentations in particular. Then if they see that I was voted best virtual speaker in 2024, I think that it builds trust. They say, okay, maybe he knows what he's doing. So that's one thing. And then on top of that, with the other awards as well. Now at the moment, since 2024, on our website, in our brochures, in my bio, without overdoing it, without bragging about it, but then you've got a list of awards, and it creates the level of trust and also visibility with the audience that's super important.
That's so good to hear. So it gives you a bit of a stamp of authority. And I think for you, it's extra, right, being a presentation coach, trainer, that it's almost like if you don't win, it's like, am I not good at what I'm teaching? But we know that's not true, but that could go through your mind. Again, it's funny because I always joke about if I entered the awards, I don't think I would get a sniff. Like, I just don't think I would win. The level's so high. This is when people pander to me. No, of course you would, Elliot. You're so good. I've seen you on stage, But, it's just like our job is to raise the standard and to make sure that it is. And for you as a speaker trainer, I guess that's that added bonus. It's like, well, look, I'm wearing the badge. I've won as a speaker this, and now I train speakers, so I guess that can help enhance it. And do you feel that the decision making is a slightly quicker or is different since winning the award when people want to work with you?
100%. Now, I don't have precise data that backs this up, but I'm very confident that in terms of decision making, in terms of all of these things, then it makes it easier for people. By the way, different parts of the journey. It could be that it makes it easier sometimes for potential clients to just be interested at the to become aware at the initial stage. Yeah. Or it could be that sometimes it makes it easier for them when they say, okay, do I need to go with this or with that person? Okay, makes it easier. If one person, maybe they are pretty much the same, of course, depending on what they've communicated and how well they've done it. Okay, this guy has the award, then it just makes it a little bit easier to say, okay, let's go with this guy. So different parts of the journey. I'd like to go back to also what you've mentioned just now, just before this question, that, for example, another person who attended, I think he attended, I don't know if he won last time, but Mark, you may know Mark Leroust. He's been...
Yes, he's got a great story. Yes.
Yeah, exactly, because he talks about it openly on LinkedIn. He's a professional speaker focused on storytelling. He tried to enter he entered the awards every year, and then every single year for a few years he hasn't been even nominated. I think last year he was for sure nominated, not sure. I don't remember.
Did he win highly commended? I'm not sure if he won, but I think he definitely
was nominated. He's
definitely nominated. I think. But did he win highly commended? I can't remember. We have to look.
But he talks about it openly, and the fact that for a few years he was never nominated. Now I know Mark.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that he's not a good speaker. He's not a good storyteller. He is, but there are so many. Of course, first of all, there are many other great speakers who know. By the way, a great achievement for you, Elliot, is that everyone now in our industry knows that we've got this annual event, and that's the event in our space. So you've got many other professional speakers, and there are other variables at play as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite an interesting one, Mark. Maybe I should, when I open this outside of the winner series, we'll pull him in, because what's interesting about Mark, actually, he's year on entered, and you're right, up until last year he didn't even get highly commended. This is very good. This is the point. He's a very good speaker, right? He's not, just someone that's gone, oh, I've got a great story and jumped on stage. He's worked hard. He's very established. He's done a lot, and but kudos to Mark. While he got really frustrated about it, he took it and went, what can I do to better it? What needs to happen? And I think he watched or studied a lot of the winners and what they did and their submissions, and then behold, and I can't remember off the top of my head, I think he was highly commended. He didn't win it, but he made it onto the stage, I believe. I could be wrong. Except he didn't attend because he was getting married, and he
exactly the day after.
He forgot about that.
Similar to your daughter's...
yes, oh my gosh. She's like, how could I oversee that? Anyway, that just shows sometimes. But that also shows the difference between a bit like myself and like picking myself up, coming back bigger and stronger. While some people just go, oh, these are fixed. Like they just can whine about not winning. I understand. It's devastating. I was really devastated first year of the Business Book Awards not to get anything, right? I know that feeling well. But what I did is pick myself up and came back big and strong. It's interesting that now what I'm hearing, and maybe I don't know from your side, is a lot of speakers now, for example, Bonita, once she won Best Storyteller, she's like, well, I can't win that again because you can't win that category. And she entered with intent to win the showreel category, right? But this time she intended to win it. So there's a podcast with her, whether it's out or not yet, depending when you're watching this. And she controlled every step of her showreel, literally every second. She almost became an executive producer, and then that one. So what I'm seeing is quite interesting is now people winning with the intention of winning, of entering. So it's quite interesting. It's good to know that people now know about it and respect it. Awards aren't for everybody, are they, Andrea? They're just not for everybody, right? And we don't. And if it's not for you, don't do it. If you don't want to pay the admin fee, don't enter. That's okay. Do you know what I mean? We're not going to hold a gun to anybody. So it's really nice to hear. And yeah, we'll get Mark on the podcast when we open up the Front Row podcast away from the Winners Series. So you've done a really, now outside of your training and stuff, what are some of the other stuff you've achieved? Because when I looked at you, loads of achievements. Just reel them off. Tell us some of the other stuff you've done in your time.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you the key things. So first of all, starting from the very beginning, the reason why I'm so passionate about these things, public speaking, communication, is because when I was a little kid, growing up in Italy, I grew up in a family of very small business owners. My parents have always run a very small business together. They still do. So as a kid, I saw, first of all, their challenges. I know that you've got kids, Elliot. I've got one, and they've got, we are four siblings. So
wow.
Growing 4 kids while trying to run a business is not easy.
Yeah.
But I also saw their proactive approach to life. So that's why I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, to run my own thing. I don't know about you, Elliot, but for me, there remained a dream for a long time, because before doing what I do now, I tried many things, many projects, all of them failed. But it was very, very useful, because in that process, what I realized was that there are so many great ideas that fail, not because of the ideas themselves, but just because of the way they are communicated.
Yeah.
And that's why eventually I became a presentation coach. Okay. That's why my mission today is to stop strong ideas from failing just because of the way they are presented. Our vision is to help hundreds of thousands of business leaders inspire their audiences, increase their influence, and make a positive impact in the world. And in the last 15 years now, because you mentioned some achievements, we've worked with hundreds of thousands of clients around the world, including business leaders from organizations like eBay, Spotify, Salesforce, Amazon, and also over 500 TEDx speakers.
Wow, that's pretty achievable. Well done you. It's really good to hear that it's happened. The other thing to remember, of course, not all great ideas are great businesses. Like they don't always translate, right? And of course, you can't always build a business on passion alone. So I think that's another thing that's worth mentioning. It's so good to hear that that's come true, that what you wanted to do, you are doing. How old's your child, just out of interest?
Very good. Yeah, he's 3 years old and just a little bit more, 3 and 4 months. And yeah, he just moved to a new nursery recently. Beautiful. So we're doing at the moment, we're doing the transition into a new nursery. Now, good. It's the, I don't want to say the usual things. I don't want to sound cliche, but that being a dad has become my number one job.
Yes.
But not just in terms of, not just logistically, in terms of how much. It just, like, in my mind, the most important thing I want to do in my life is to try and be the best dad I can be for my son. Then what we're talking about here, that has become the second thing.
Yep. Without sounding like you, saying the normal things, but I agree. I think being a dad is the greatest honor, greatest badge we can carry. To be the best dads we could possibly be is our responsibility, right? And I think, like yourself, I want to, when the day comes, I want them to look fondly back on having a father that was there for them, that supported them, that empowered them. And I'm not perfect, I'm far from perfect, right? But I think, being that is my number one job, is to be a great father, to be a great husband, and then comes the business. And, I can't say I'm always perfect, but I do work very hard at all of them. And I think there isn't a day sometimes. There was a period every day I felt like I was a crappy father because I couldn't quite. My son's very demanding. My daughters, they're both amazing. They're both very clever. But, how I handled my son, and I just needed to continuously reevaluate without beating myself up. And I think that's really helped nurture. So it's so nice to hear that we're on the same page in that respect. Number one dad. That's our thing, to be number one for our kids. So that's awesome. On that note, what's one thing that you wouldn't normally talk about that you're happy to share on this podcast? You know, anything that you kind of like, hey, not many people know this, but I'm actually a left-handed ninja.
I don't know if people are interested, but not many people know this, but I'm a big fan of craft beer.
Are you?
To a level where I can't, because it's been years now, I can't drink like the typical industrial beer. For me, it's just, I love, and I'm lucky because my wife is like me. Normally women are more into wine and sweet stuff. She loves it. Especially before my son, we used to go to local breweries, and it's not easy for us because we live in northwest London, and lots of the best breweries are in East London. So it's a long. Sometimes you just need to take the tube for an hour and a half just to have a taste of great beer. And yeah, that's my. Of course, I try. Health is also an important part of my life as well, but. Yeah, when I can, that's I wouldn't say a passion, but it's nice on the weekend.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I'm not a big beer drinker. I enjoy it here and there. I'm more of a Guinness and wine kind of guy. That's so interesting, and obviously everything in moderation, right? I think, but I never would have thought that. Not that I look at someone and go, wait, they must like craft, but that's just not something I thought was going to come out of your mouth. That's so interesting. They even go to craft fairs and I guess it's quite nice, right? I mean, I don't know about you. I find that a little bit when I watch football, right? It's something completely out of my control. It's 90 minutes where I can yell, shout, be happy, be sad, and it's done, and I'm entertained by something else. And for you, it's going to craft, and it's craft beer fairs, and just tasting and enjoying, and I love that, and I think that's great in that respect. So, on that note, I don't know about you, you've got 3 and a bit year old, and our kitchen table in our house is a beautiful, chaotic, messy, artistic. It's where we talk about the future. It's where my kids draw. Like this weekend, they were making menus for their kitchen. It's this hub of continuous movement, and no matter how I try to move them away from the kitchen table, it all ends up on the kitchen table. So I've given up. I'm like, okay, whatever, So I'm just intrigued. What's on your kitchen table?
Does it have to be something that's connected to a family, or can it be a personal
anything
thing?
you can say? There's just, I don't know. Someone said it's completely blank. I don't have anything on my kitchen table.
No, there are many things on a kitchen table as well. The first thing that comes to mind, and the reason why I asked the question is because this is more something that I'm working on at the moment at a personal level, which is my second book.
Yay!
And by the way, it's in a way, it is connected to family and being a dad, because the inspiration from that. So my first book in 2023 was Confident Presenter, which is like a practical guide to becoming the best presenter you can be. From my perspective, I try to give my.
Well, it clearly works. Look at the data, right? So yes, it's a very, very good book.
And this one is going to be different, and the inspiration came from reading books by, I don't know if you know Ryan Holiday. He's a modern philosopher, and he wrote many books. 2 of them that come to mind. One is The Daily Stoic. So he's a Stoic philosopher.
I've got that. I'm reading that. I'm reading that. Yeah, as we speak. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so funny.
Okay, amazing. And the other one is that I read last year, The Daily Dead.
Oh.
And these books they give you a daily reflection on a particular topic. And I found both of them so powerful because you spend a year. Of course, you can choose to read The Daily Stoic, The Daily Dead in a weekend if you want. But the way I like to read those books is just one entry per day. So you've got this book that becomes a friend, if you want. Every day, the first thing in the morning, my ritual was to read a page of The Daily Stoic, a page of The Daily Dead. The Daily Dead was for, again, to raise kids, the best kids you can raise to be to become the best dad that you can be.
Yeah.
And so that gave me the idea, and the idea was, okay, but why don't I write something similar in the structure, which means just a daily entry, one reflection per day on my topic. So I've got the book has been written, it's there, and it's now we are in a few days we're going to start the process with the publisher, the editor, to work on it from a professional perspective. Nice. With the objective of publishing it this year, 2020.
Nice. Well, keep us posted, and when I'll check in before we release if there's like a join the waiting list link or anything like that, then do let us know and we can add that to the description of this as well. I'm also writing my next book. I'm writing my 7th book, and it's called Watch Me. Or at least that's the working title, and it's very different from my other books. So like 3 of my books were more in the personal development space, and then 3 around speaking, and this one's more, well, it's turning into a leadership book, but it's inspirational leadership, and I didn't intend it, but again, working with Rethink and Book Magic, right, to direct it, but with Lucy, Jonathan, and Joe and Lucy being co-founders of the Speak Awards as well, it's taken very different directions. So I'm quite interested, and I've got some ideas. So I'm 25,000 words in. I'm going to release it at the summit, 3rd of July. But yeah, I can't wait to see your new book and support you in that. And it sounds like a really great second book. So I wish you all the luck with it, and may it become a global, impactful bestseller to the level of the Daily Stoic and etc. And start with why. Brilliant stuff.
Likewise with your book.
Thank you so much. So tell me, what is it that you feel that we need to talk about that isn't being discussed? It doesn't have to be speaking, right? What's kind of something that you feel needs to be brought to the forefront?
Again, last year, by the way, I love books. So I read. I tend to read a couple of books per month, more or less.
Wow.
Towards the end of last year, I read The Anxious Generation. And again, of course, I don't want to beat the dead here, but since my son was born, before my son, 90% of the books I read were business books. Let's say 90% were, 50% of the books I read were books on communication, public speaking, because of course there's always room for improvement for everyone. And 40% were business books, and then maybe 10% were just general interest. Now 80% is books on parenting and these kind of things. And I read The Anxious Generation by Jonathan, I don't know how you pronounce the surname, Haidt, I think, Haidt, I don't know, but The Anxious Generation. Yeah.
Haidt, maybe, yeah.
A global, by the way, an international bestseller. And it talks about, he opened my eyes to the impact of social media impact. Of course, we all know it. We know that social media, if you don't use it well, can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But that book it really opens your eyes with lots of scientific research and data and examples and stories on the harmful impact of social media, especially on kids and teenagers. And again, I'm not against social media. I'm not against mobile phones. I'm not against technology. I like all of these things, but especially for minors, for kids, teenagers, then we need to be very, very careful. And so for those who are listening, for parents, if you care about the health, from any perspective, the mental health, the physical health of your kids, then I think this is a must-read book, The Anxious Generation, and I think more people need to talk about it.
Yeah, and I can see it with my kids. We give them a bit, but not a lot, right? We're not Like I know certain families, iPad every day, you know, and that's how they choose to do it. We don't. We do Switch at the weekend for an hour. Or it used to be iPad. It's now changed to Switch since Christmas. They get an hour of TV after school, and you know, and the reason I'm saying this to you because we're so aware of it. And now my daughter, who's 9, all her friends are on Stars, which is like a child's WhatsApp, right? And I can see her want to check Stars. I can see how she's getting FOMO from not being on, which is why we were like, look, we really should put her on Stars because she's left out, right? So then as a parent, are you like, do I leave my kid out because I know that's, or do we include them? And that's the dilemma we're all going to face. I know my son's going to be a great gamer, like, and he just will. And I know he'll probably have a fantastic YouTube channel and make loads of money from gaming. And the question is, do we harness that and go, do you know what, let's accept it, he's going down that road, or do we fight it? And that's the continuous dilemma we're up against. Apparently, from interviewing Kate, who was one of the winners last year, 2025, apparently we get 800 hits of dopamine a day when we're meant to get 1 or 2. And that's really scary. That's alerted me so much. And I'm not a huge, again, like you, I use LinkedIn. I don't use anything else.
Me too.
Yeah, right. I've started to use YouTube a bit more for the awards and the summit. But even I feel myself getting drawn in because now I'm sharing shorts and I get like 1,500 views. I'm like, oh my God, 1,500 views. Right? So I think it's really good that you're on this road. So what, from reading it, what wisdom would you impart to anyone listening to this, generally speaking?
The main thing is that if you read that book, it gives you clear ideas on what you can do as a parent.
Uh-huh.
And by the way, I'm exactly like you. I still have this dilemma, and I don't have all the answers. But reading the book, it gives you ideas in terms of what you as a parent can do. Also, and the challenge is that even if as a parent you do lots of things, unfortunately, and that's why it's such a massive problem, it's not enough, because there are things that governments should do, which is even more important. There are things that tech companies should do, and we have no control over those things. Going back to the daily Stoic, for example, the Stoic philosophy, one of the things that it teaches you is that you should only control what you can control. And by the way, Elliot, in preparation for this conversation, I had a look at your LinkedIn profile, and there was a video where you're giving a talk, and I think at the end of the talk you share a story of the watermelon farmer.
Yes, the watermelon farmer. Yeah, you watched that. Oh, I love that story. Yeah.
And that the if I remember well, the point of the story is that you should control the controllables.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's so as a parent, that's it. I wouldn't call it. I don't have any wisdom to share, but at least even if we can't control what tech companies will do, what governments can do and will do, but at least we should control the controllables. There are some things that as parents we can control. It's not going to be easy. It's very difficult, but at least to be aware of what's possible.
And I guess with the rise of AI, that's an extra complication, right? Because there's so many other aspects that we're going to hit our kids. AI generated type conversations, AI, them leaning on AI. And I'm not opposed to AI at all, right? Just for that. So I think, I think awareness is probably the key for everything, right? Be aware. Whatever you're doing, going into, whatever you're introducing to your kid, be aware of the positives and the negatives. I mean, I can see my son's just a bit crazier after playing Switch. I can see because he's getting all these dopamine hits. And so when it goes off, it's so intense, like he needs to go for a run or something. So that concerns me. So, yeah, I hear you on that. And I think we should have more. And, yeah, governments need to intervene more. I guess it's that old ancient, argument that if we don't do it, someone else will, right? Excuse me. So, if we do this, someone else will come in and do it like this. it's the drug dealer argument. Well, if I don't sell drugs, someone else will. Not that I'm saying everyone should sell drugs, right? But, and I think that's the biggest challenge. So if Facebook or X start changing things, someone will come in and do exactly that. So it's really a challenging and exciting in many ways. I think, there's a lot to look forward. I think 2026, although starting quite rocky, I think it's going to be a great year. That's just a gut. I don't have data to prove it. But I'm seeing people open up. I'm seeing people spending. Even though things are tighter, I'm seeing more demand for speaking pick up again and things like that. So I think it'll be a really great year. What's 2026 shaping up for you?
For us, again, exactly as you said, I can't predict the future. So here's the thing: as an entrepreneur, Elliot, like you, as a business owner in this industry. At least that's my experience. As much as we try, and I do try to have a plan, and to try and predict what the year will look like. The reality is, if I think about the last 7-8 years now, we had years where maybe the first Q1 was fantastic, and then it went down, and then it picked up again. And then I had maybe another year where it was completely the opposite. And I'm talking about from a business perspective now in terms of results. Last year, for example, I'm very happy to be open and transparent here. Last year was the unique feature of last year for us was that the first 6 months were fantastic, and up to it was maybe June. And I thought, wow, if we continue like this is going to be the best year in the history of years. And then for a while, everything stopped.
Yeah, no, that's
so 2026. Let's see. Of course, as you said, I'm a positive person. I want to be positive. I think I can say. I hope I can say. I will always be positive. And in the end, at the beginning, when I started working in this space, every single week I was checking the business numbers, how many leads, how many clients, and if we didn't get the target, then I would suffer. It wasn't easy. Every week, every month. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't know your numbers. As a business owner, you have to know your numbers.
Yeah.
But I try to, know the numbers, but also be detached from them. I also had, on our podcast, on the Ideas on Stage podcast, I had Dr. Jill Stoddard recently, a few months ago. She's a psychologist.
Okay.
And she gave a TEDx talk. And in the TEDx talk, she talks about this concept that resonated with me, the idea of holding outcomes lightly.
Okay.
And the idea is that, of course, you have a plan. We all have dreams and aspirations. We want to achieve that particular thing. We've got that key milestone. That's the outcome. And again, going back to your message of the watermelon farmer, in the end, we should control the controllables. We don't control the outcome, but we can control the process. And that's where I try to have my focus on. And then what I've learned over the years is to hold the outcome a little bit more lightly. If it happens, amazing. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. The show must go on.
It's quite interesting when I hear you. I'm reminded of this saying, detachment leads to flow, right? So keep your eye on the outcome, but let go. And when you detach, you allow, right? You allow things to unravel. But when we're so focused in, then it's tense and you're easily knocked off your feet. But when you're detached, but you're keeping your eye on, you find different ways to get there. A bit like, this is very simplified, but a bit like when you're using Waze to get somewhere and a road is blocked, you think of another way. Right, it's focused, but I think we're more complicated than that. But that's a great analogy. But when you're like, no, I have to go this way, then fine, you're going to come up against a block, and you can't go down that road. Period. right? No, I have to go down this road. Hopefully this road will open up. Maybe if I really believe it'll open up. Maybe. But you know what? You can just go around a different way. And I think that's really what you're, again, alluding to. And I'm very excited for 2026 for you, for everything. You know, for me last year, it was the explosion of the Speaker Awards, Speaker Summit. It really grew. And suddenly like, oh my God, this is now my thing. You know, a couple of years before that, it was like 50-50. Now it's 80-20, right? My other stuff is just until the awards and the summit can completely, you know, support us as founders and stuff like that. Talking of stories, before we wrap this up, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom. It's been brilliant. I think we'll have you back when it's not the Winner Series and deep dive into more of your philosophy as a speaker trainer and things like that. What's a story you like to tell, you like to end on, you like to share when you are speaking, or when one of your training room stories? We just like ending on stories. It makes us happy.
I can share a story that I often, and this is very much connected to, again, my philosophy as a speaker coach. It's not necessarily a story I use to end my talks, but it's a story that illustrates a concept which, of course, for us in our industry is a very basic concept, but for many people we work with, maybe they know it, but not many people act on it. And it's the idea of, you want to prepare a talk, the most important thing is knowing your audience. Again, very basic, but not everyone does that. And to illustrate that, and this is a true story, something that happened to us. A few years ago, Elliot, we worked with a client. Her name is Marie from Paris. Marie is an executive. She's an expert in leadership. And she was invited by an association in Finland to give a talk about leadership. Okay. She was super excited. It was one of the first international speaking opportunities. So she prepared really well. She knew her message. She told us that she had prepared 50 beautiful slides, and also she practiced. So she was ready to go. She flew to Finland the day before the conference, then arrived there on the day half an hour before the audience. And when she was about to connect her laptop to the screen, she realized that there was no screen. So a bit of panic. She went and asked the organizers, assuming that they would say, oh, sorry, Marie, now we are going to fix this for you. What they did instead was they started laughing. Oh, no. So she says, why are you laughing? And they say, look, Marie, you want to show 50 slides, but actually you've been invited to give a talk to the association in Finland of blind people.
Oh, no.
Blind people. Now, Elliot, I know it's an extreme example. It sounds like a bad joke. It happened for real. No, but it's
a great example.
Now, Marie was very well prepared, apart from one thing. She didn't know her audience. She didn't even take the time to translate the name of the association from Finnish to French, and she would have realized that perhaps there was no need to have 50 beautiful slides. Now, in some of my presentations, sometimes I share the story to make people understand that before opening up PowerPoint, before thinking about slides, before even thinking about what you want to say, all of these things depend on the audience. So if we want to make our talks, our presentations, our communication in general relevant to the audience, which I believe is one, if not the most important principle in communication, the very first thing we need to do is we need to start with them and go backwards.
I love that story. That's such a great story. Because the time she spent designing slides, she could be spending describing things or telling stories. So I think that was great. And I might lean on that, of course, referencing you. But I think that's a great example of not asking the right questions in the scoping calls, not taking the time to understand who you're getting in front of. I think it's a brilliant story. Thank you for sharing that. All the notes and everything and how to get in touch with you will be below. I'd like to take the time to wish you good luck with your second book, and I'm very excited to hear about that and let us know how that project unravels. you want to just talk a little bit about your podcast quickly, and then we'll say our goodbyes. Ciao bello. But talk about your podcast a little bit. So in case people want to find out more, just go listen. I loved Andrea. Let me just check him out now. What's the name of your podcast? And just a little bit about it.
Yeah, thank you. The name is the Ideas on Stage podcast. Ideas on Stage is the name of our company, and it's a long format like yours, and I don't like podcasts. It's just a personal preference where it's just 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Yes,
if you really want to have a meaningful conversation, at the moment we've been speaking for about an hour. These are the kind of conversations I like, both as a guest but also as a host. And it's one conversation per month on all things leadership, communication, public speaking, presenting. And even if it's not a massive podcast in terms of audience size, but I've had the privilege of interviewing guests like Seth Godin, Guy Kawasaki,
nice.
Terry Zuplat, the former speechwriter of Barack Obama, Dr. John Medina, Carmine Gallo, Gar Reynolds, lots of well-known names in the leadership, communication, public speaking, presentation skills space.
Fabulous. Well, check it out, people. And look, I don't think anyone listens to a podcast because it's got thousands of listeners. Everybody listens to it because it's what's in it for them, right? And I think if it appeals to anyone, it's because what you have to say appeals to them. I guess if you're invited to a recording, then it's about the numbers, and how many people show up and who's the community. So fantastic. Check it out, people. Any final words of wisdom about the awards, and we'll say our goodbyes. What do you want to say to everyone listening? Listen this far. What are you going to say about the awards?
About the awards, if people are considering to give it a try this year, highly recommended. For me, it was a beautiful experience, and this goes beyond the fact that in 2024 I won, because again, last year I wasn't even nominated. But anyway, beautiful experience from any perspective, starting from the application process, as I said at the beginning, with just a few key meaningful questions, and also if you will be there at the ceremony, great event done in a super professional way with you, Elliot, the team, and so highly recommended.
Thank you. And the good news is about the award ceremony is I get to relax because the team take over, and unless it's an emergency, I get to sit and eat and have a nice glass of wine. So that's the good news. Thank you very much, Andrea, for being with us, sharing your wisdom, going beyond speaking. And of course, for anyone watching this, if you're, depending when we release this, but if it's the waiting list, get on it. If it's open, apply. thespeakawards.com. We will put everything in the notes. Thank you again, Andrea. Have an amazing rest of the day, and I'm sure we're going to be in touch soon. Take care.
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you. You too.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Front Row Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. It's through your feedback that we grow. We hope you've taken lots of notes, benefited from the wisdom, and are now going to turn everything into action. Remember to keep an eye out for our next episode of the Front Row Podcast. And remember to like, subscribe, and of course leave us a 5-star review. We look forward to connecting with you and hearing the progress of your journey in the professional speaking world. Tune in next time for the Front Row Podcast.